is transporting a minor.
He's gonna put you in jail. It's crazy. He really means it.
The People versus Charlie.
May it please the court. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this case is being brought by the state with the aid of Alvin Horace Graham in behalf of his daughter, Cynthia Ann Graham, a minor. She is the girl who was injured in this case. Our state does not allow a minor to bring charges in her own name. And the law recognizes that...
You're an idiot.
To protect your own
You shouldn't have come to this, Mother. She's a tramp. You should have stayed
and
home.
unknowing
I
in the
can't.
ways of the law.
Place is crawling with newspaper
Therefore,
men.
charges must be brought by the state to protect her own interests because she is of tender years and unknowing in the ways of the law.
What a wild Indian you
minor's
turned into, Charles.
That adult is usually referred to as the minor's next friend. And so in this case, the father, Alvin Horace Graham, brings charges as the next friend of his daughter, Cynthia Ann.
What kind of a boy was your son, Mrs. Charlie? I said, Mrs. Charlie, what kind of boy was your son?
I don't know much about any of my sons. They're a surprise to me.
That is certainly an odd name in combination with his last name. Charles C. Charlie, Mrs. Charlie? How did this naming come about?
What's your name, sir?
Edward Johnson, ma'am.
Ha! 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 Ha!
I don't know what you two guys are doing. I'm ready to plead guilty. I'm not opposed to punishment since everybody agrees that we broke the law. Anyway, I figure what the hell. Nehru wrote most of his books in prison. So what's all the talk about? Have to use some of those years in law school somehow? Men like these must milk the moment or sleep forever.
Charles, you're a clown getting mixed up in all this. She was no virgin. You ask her. My son was never first anywhere.
Actually, there were no more than 5 or 6 before me. But for Cindy's sake, I decided my silence was necessary. Shut up, Mother. She has to live with these people the rest of her life.
And weren't you in love with young Miss Graham, that flirtatious young woman, when you lost your head?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Weren't you in love with Miss Graham?
Well, generally speaking, there's love and physical union. As a matter of fact, in Western literature, it's referred to as an act of love.
And you loved Miss Graham, didn't you?
I suppose I did.
Well, Charles C. Charlie, you have told us that you loved that little girl at that moment, but that you did not love her before or after, and you have not since.
I have no reason to lie. I'm in the hand of God.
Did you love Cindy Graham at that moment?
I did.
But you do not love her now.
I haven't thought about it.
Would you marry her?
She's just a child. How could I marry her? Marriage is full of all sorts of responsibilities, and she isn't ready for anything like that now. Besides, the age difference is too great. Be realistic.
You would not marry her. Good enough to force sex upon, but not good enough to cherish for life.
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection overruled.
Good enough to force sex upon, but not good enough to cherish for life?
Well, actually, it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other.
Your Honor.
And so you, a mature man, an adult, you took it upon yourself, knowing something of the pitfalls before a young girl, this child still growing, you took it upon yourself to decide that she was ready to have her virginity ravaged to satisfy your own selfish, rotten lust.
Objection, Your Honor. That's inflammatory.
Sustained. Strike that part about... Will the court reporter please read that last part?
She was ready to have her virginity ravaged to satisfy your own selfish, rotten lust.
The jury is instructed to ignore the remarks, selfish, rotten lust.
Mr. Charlie, I'm sure I don't have to repeat my last question. We are waiting for your response. Now, did you or...
Leave him alone! You leave him alone! It's not his fault if I'm wild! I'll tell the world how wild I am if you don't shut up! I'm native to it! I'm native to it!
Sit over there.
You didn't give one sensible answer. Now listen to me. Sit down and keep your mouth shut for God's sake. I'm going to talk to the Grahams.